Okay. So good morning, everyone. Goodness. So what we were just talking about. Hi, Allison. Uh, so this was a really impactful thing. And it's so one of the things that Katie said, and she comes from the world of therapy, and also then she went into subconscious work because she said I wasn't an in the box therapist, and so she was one of the first therapist life coaches, and I'm like, what? So she said when the food noise stops, that, and this is like this is getting super deep super early, when the food noise stops, then it gives us space. Like, so you're like, okay, the food noise stops. And then we find that going, like, we should have all this space to create, to build this business. I don't have this food noise, but how did she phrase it, Blair, about the up level? That we then we start to look for other things in our life to take up that space of the food noise. And some of that could be our programming is negativity. Like, once I had hit these weight loss goals and I didn't have to focus on food, and that my body was broken and my body was like exactly doing what it was created to do, I started to put my focus and attention on things that could go wrong instead of saying how good can it get. And so what happens at capacity, I'm going to talk about capacity before we get started. And then we have this incredible social media, someone who I have watched build from not having social media to being one of the biggest influencers on in the social media world, Ashley Casey. And so, like, I can tell you, when you hear from her, it's not like, oh, I started my social media account because I had hundreds of thousands of people. She was starting a business. They were like brand new babies, Chris and Ashley, in business, and watching them build an audience and really play with it. Like, what was their niche and who were they speaking to? And watching that evolution and the transformation in Ashley's confidence, like, I feel a little bit like I could be Kim. I'm not going to take your spot, but like that maternal side of watching these like baby entrepreneurs that we met long ago, 10 years ago at an event, and we've adopted them in Vegas because we're kind of old and not fun. Chris and Ashley, will you hang out with us? And to this capacity, to opening their world to what is possible and what's next. And that happens on social media as well. We think nobody wants to talk to us or hear from us, like the thoughts. Like, I always say, like, I feel like, well, why would this old lady get on Instagram? Because all of those things, like, I'm not cool, or I can't put on the outfits like Ashley, or why would I talk about weight loss type of thing? So what I want to talk about today is your capacity. So every time we hit a new level, so capacity is how good can it get? How much can we hold in that abundance bucket? So as you roll into this business, we're all going to be faced with it. Some of you might be thinking, well, like, I'm not there with the CEO and founder, or these people are going so fast. My starting line was very different, you guys. I hadn't like, I came with no like and trust because I came from, I had a big story. And so it's very different from when I started in 2014, because I needed to build those connections. So the capacity thing is this. When you build capacity, I want you to pretend like you're on the first floor of your house, and you, all of a sudden you like have your first rank, or you have your first person send you a message. You're like, my content must be working. My energy is there. My vibration is there. So you go up to the second floor. So now you've expanded your capacity. But what happens is now you have room. If you think about this from your basement, if you have a basement there, you've given room for some of those limiting thoughts and beliefs to come in, because you've expanded the capacity. The bowl is bigger. So there's space as you get, like, because then your subconscious wants to say, but what about this? What about this? What about this? Because as you expand, you create space. So every time you go up a level in capacity on your social media, and I hope you're tracking with this, and I hope Ashley is too, because I think every time that Ashley created more capacity in her life, a top leader, $1 million earner, all of a sudden the bowl's really big, but it left room for things from the bottom floor to make way. And those are the limiting thoughts and the limiting beliefs that if we don't feel them and we don't recognize them, we don't just say get rid of them. We're like, oh, isn't that interesting? So as you are creating capacity, so I like moved up a level in a rank and my capacity just grew. And all of a sudden, those basement demons, those basement thoughts started to come up because my bowl was bigger. And they were like, well, who are you to lead this team? And who are you? Like, blah, blah, blah. And what, and I had to say, oh my gosh, thank you for like showing up. Hi, you don't have a seat at my table, but I'm going to feel it all. I'm going to feel it all. And I'm going to work on why I'm so glad you're here, because it allows me to understand and know how we all deal with expanding capacity. I feel like Lucy has an ear infection today because she just expanded her capacity. And so it was like something happened to her physically, but she's noticing like, wow, I feel like I just walked up a level of stairs. I'm opening myself up to vulnerability. I'm opening my capacity up. And so her body is like, oh, but like, what if, like we got an ear infection now. So she's noticing it and she's saying, oh, thank you. I'm going to rest today. I'm going to like really notice. I'm going to journal. I'm going to be in this space, but noticing it, feeling it, but knowing that as your capacity, is this making sense to you guys? Do you feel this? So capacity isn't just an affirmation. It isn't just like, oh my gosh, I've got to get rid of that. It's go for the no. I can't have those thoughts. What I've realized in my journey is the thoughts are those emotions will come. We notice it. We look at it from, and I want to share this with you. Because this is and I'll send this all to you guys and then I'm going to turn it over to Ashley. So when you have those thoughts, hold on. This just came to me. Who am I when I attach myself to this thought? Hold on, I've got it here. So when you notice that those feelings and those thoughts are coming and you notice that they're starting like, I'm on this next level, I'm looking at hitting this rank, or I'm looking at being a part of this business type of thing. This is what I would love for you to, I have it, I promise you. I saved it. Hold on. Give me a second. Okay. 1 second, you guys, and then we'll take off because this is so important. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to find it. I'll find it and share it at the end. So it's just basically what it is. It's, okay, I found it. So when you have that thought and you're thinking about like, well, am I really made for this business? Or who am I to talk about peptides? Or when you're listening to Ashley today, talk about social media, because you could look at her and say, wow, I think she's got like 5 billion followers. And you think, well, how could I start where Ashley is? Notice this, that the thought, like we get to choose our thoughts, but we want to feel when, like, you can't just discard it. You want to feel it, but is it truth? Okay, so let's use like there's no way that I can create a following like Ashley Casey did on Instagram. Is it truth? No, absolutely not. Is there evidence in the world that somebody started from scratch and built this incredible, it's not just a following, it's an incredible community? Is it truth? No, it's not truth. People start at zero all the time and build that. Who am I when I attach myself to this thought? When I attach myself to this thought, who am I? Well, I'm someone that doesn't take action. I'm someone that stays in my thoughts about why would I even begin? Who am I when I attach myself to this thought, and how do I act? So if I sit around and if I say, wow, Ashley started at zero and she's given me evidence that there's other women over 55, she's obviously not over 55, or you want the peptide she has if she is. If I look and I say, well, who am I when how do I act? Well, then I don't take action because I think I can't show my face or I'm not ready for that. Does this thought affirm an emotional addiction? We love to return to a very, very, very familiar feeling Mine was, I'm not enough, chaos, let's find ways to stay distracted. So does this thought affirm an emotional addiction? What is believing this thought costing me? So if you are having the thoughts that I can't build this business, I can't use social media, I maybe this just isn't for me, or, well, I'll be happy with 4 customers. What is believing this thought costing me? That's a big one. That's one to journal about. Is this thought, so think about this. When we are at a place of where we are now, I just did a vision with Hanieh. I gave her a pair of shoes. I've been waiting for this person to have these shoes. And I just did a vision when she put them on of her future self. And it's a year from today. And Team Joy was like all there as executive directors. And she was looking out. She couldn't even see the back of the room. And people were coming up to her to say, "You've changed my life." I was able to buy my dream franchise. I was able to walk away from a job that was draining me. I was able to walk away from an abusive relationship and keep my kids safe. I was able to help my child start a business. I was able to put give my sister a beautiful vacation. And she was hearing and feeling all of this from her future self. So when you have those thoughts, is it your current self, the old you, or is it a thought of the new you? So when you listen to Ashley today, I want you to listen to it and think, 1 year from now, I've committed to social media. I've made the mistakes. I've done it the way I just did it in alignment. And I have this beautiful community of women or men or teachers that that fuel me and I fuel them. That's the future you. When you have those thoughts, can I find a stress-free reason to keep this thought? Most likely not. Can I see a reason to drop the thought? Who am I without this thought? Then you make the choice, keep it or trash it. So always look at the thought, like put it in your hand. And a thought is something that comes to you. It's like, let's say the thought is today, well, I can't possibly get to director by February. That's like, I only have $1,000 of volume. Director's impossible. That is a thought. Hold it in your hand. And then we run through that thought process. And the other part is that's 3D thinking is you need to feel it in your body as well. And so maybe you just need to dance it out. Maybe you need to scream. Maybe you need to just go pound a pillow. We're not blaming anybody for this thought. We're just like, wow, who am I when I attach myself to this thought? So as I introduce Ashley today, and I first of all want to congratulate all of you. There's so many people here. Hi, Cindy. It was so great to hug you in person last night. There's so many people here who are every one of you, whether you have 1 order, no orders, or you had a rank bonus, it is your journey. And I want you to celebrate those moves. I want you to celebrate that you're here. I want to celebrate that you're like, wow, I'm open. So your thought is, I'm worthy, I'm deserving of this beautiful business. And when you talk to Ashley on social media, when she talks about it, she has been able to build her brand. And from that brand, she has been able to build multiple businesses, but also more than that, connection and community. And for the people that are like, that she doesn't even know, are watching the reels, are reading her content, have watched her journey, her impact goes way beyond the comments, way beyond the sales, way beyond what being the top recruiter or top 5 recruiter. When you think about social media, it is truly a way that you will impact and have a connection. And my whole feeling is I don't know all the things that Ashley's going to show you, but what I always say before I post is, how do I want my one person? Let's say that my one person is Cindy, because we have a lot of age, we have kids in college. If Cindy was my person and I want to really connect with her, how do I want her to feel? What do I want her to know? And then what do I want her to do? Feel, know, and do. And that has helped me along the way. And then you bring in someone like Ashley, who I'm going to turn it over to Ashley, to talk about, yeah, well, now there's strategy, there's ways, there's not just like, hey, let's throw it out there and see if the universe delivers. Like that's kind of like my cop out. That's a thought. Oh, the universe will always bring me what I want. God always brings me what. No, there's strategy. And so if you're going to build a business using social media, which is our biggest way to connect at a global impact, we are so lucky and so honored that Ashley and Chris were like, we're going to get back in this network marketing game, even though we said we wouldn't, because we really love what Hanieh is building. They just said, like, I'm sure they had all their thoughts, and it was like, what does it feel like? And I think it felt like a heck yes, because that's why they're here. So Ashley, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to turn it over to you to do this training.
Thank you so much for having me, Beth. And I'm actually bringing my husband, Chris, on too, because honestly, we've done this together for years. We've grown together. So we're really good at just like bouncing things off. But yeah, Beth, like we have been approached so many times with different businesses, different companies, and nothing ever really fit. Like we just weren't excited for it. So when we found out about Ellie, we were definitely like, oh, we need to look into this. And we both got really excited.
Yeah, definitely. And Beth, before we get started, or actually get started mainly with this training, I really want to parlay exactly what you said and how it connects to Ashley's kind of coaching today. Because when people start having limited beliefs, it's because they're potentially imitating somebody they're not. They're trying to become somebody that they aren't. So when we all start getting into business mode, we start looking for people that we can be like, oh, I like the way they do that, or I like the way they're posting. But what happens is because you didn't take the time to identify who you want to be online to represent who you are at your core, then you start attracting the wrong people. And those people don't align with you. And if they don't align with you, then you start running into situations where people are questioning, or you're feeling like, ooh, I can't really help this person or lead this person or be of value because I put out the wrong message. And when I was fishing, I got the wrong fish. And so now I don't have the right person to work with. So when you look at the people who have been very successful about their brand and branding online and building community, obviously Ashley has done a fantastic job of that. Look at Leanne Dunson. She posts exactly who she wants to be, and she gets exactly who she wants interested in talking to her. Blair does the same thing. People, when you start looking at who people are just posting, exactly who they are, and then when you meet them in person, how many times have you guys heard, oh, I love it that you're exactly who you are online? It's because we live in this world where people like will put up a facade for who they aren't. And then now they're having conversations and it's not really who they are.
We just had that conversation the other day. I had a photo shoot and my photographer was like, wow, you are just like who you are online. I'm like, well, I sure would hope so. Like I was kind of taken back by that, you know? So yeah, it's a good point. So before we get started in this training, either show of hands, or if you guys can get in the comments, how many of you feel that social media is overwhelming? If you feel like it's overwhelming, drop a 1 in the comments or raise your hand. So, I mean, honestly, it can definitely be overwhelming, right? Because we're looking at everybody else. You're looking at me. You're like, oh my gosh, she's got all these followers. You guys, plain and simple. Yes, you can be strategic. You can do all these things. But at the end of the day, and I'm sure y'all have heard it before, it's getting on your social media and just showing up and being you. Now, listen, from the very beginning when I started, I probably would say I was definitely a little bit different than who I was, right? Like I would always make sure that I had makeup on. I would always make sure that my hair was done, all this stuff. Now I show up on my stories. You guys, I'm in my PJs half the time. I have no makeup on. I'm making coffee. Like I'm just sharing my life. The other day, I put my ring light in front of our bed and I was literally just doing a video of me making the bed. As simple as that. Okay. So sometimes we overthink, what should I be sharing on my stories or on my social media? I literally just did a video of me making my bed, you guys, and I posted it on my stories and I said, did y'all make your bed today? And I did a little poll, right? So now I'm asking my audience for engagement. Okay. This is the community that I want to build. I don't always want to just kind of like throw up everything. It's like always a sell, right? We don't want that. We want to share who we are and what we do. So that's what I do on my stories. It could be me cooking. It could be making the bed, but then I might be throwing in there some NAD, like, hey y'all, this is my injection today. Actually, today I'm doing my 5th injection of NAD. So I'm going to show that, but not every single thing has to be a sale. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but the message is, look at how active I am at home. Look at how much I'm getting done. And then she kind of attributes it to her lifestyle, obviously eating healthy, exercising, but also NAD gave me an edge. And then people are now watching vicariously. They're like, oh, if she can do all those things and she's still happy about it at the end of the day, maybe I need what she needs because I can live through that same story.
Yeah, and I'm still human, you guys. Like, yeah, we could be on the weight loss, we could be on the NAD, but you know what? If I want a slice of Papa John's pizza, I'm gonna have a slice of Papa John's pizza and I'm gonna share that. You know, we are human, like nothing is perfect. So it really at the end of the day is just showing up and just being you. Don't overcomplicate that process. And that's the other thing, you know, I'll have people ask me like, well, how many times a week should I be posting? Should it be on my stories? Should it be on my, like my static posts, like on Instagram? Honestly, if you guys are consistent, if it's one day a week that you want to post on your actual feed, like a static post, then be consistent with posting that one day. I would truly say and recommend, I would say about three to 5 times a week, I would make an actual post. But when it comes to your stories, y'all, there's no game plan there. Get on your stories all day long, as much as you can, and just share what you're doing. Get in front of the camera, show your face.
Yeah, and people are curious. I mean, that's why they're following you online. They just want to see what you're up to, right? People are nosy. So show them, hey, I went here, this happened, or look at the weather today, or look what just happened. We're here at my kid's, ball game, whatever. That's what keeps people coming back, right? And so when Ashley was talking about doing this stuff, and this is even something even at Ashley's level, she's like, okay, how do I do this? How do I incorporate now EllieMD? And she's like, I have to stay exactly who I am. I have to keep posting stuff that I love. And I'm just adding EllieMD to the layers of things that I consistently share. Obviously Amazon fashion is something she
If
loves.
you were to go to my Instagram right now, you're gonna be like, wow, she's into like health and wellness and she takes NAD and all that. You would never even guess, because right now it's all fashion forward. All my Amazon finds, like that's what I share. But by me doing that, that is truly who I am at the end of the day. I love fashion. I love good deals. You can find that on Amazon, but by showing up and being who I'm being, I'm gaining a lot of followers just from each post because I've stayed consistent with doing that, which in turn, I'm leveraging all those new followers to get in my stories. And now they get to see the behind the scenes of what Ashley's life is like and taking my NAD, right? So it's as simple as that. And this is the connection piece that we're talking about. And I love how Beth had sent me like, let's go over like the 5 C's, right? So it's content, connection, conversations, call to action, community. So here at this point, this is the connection with my followers. It's showing my face, it's engaging with them emotionally. And it's again, like getting on your stories and asking for that engagement by using the question box, the poll box, have them respond to you and create that engagement.
Yeah, and it doesn't need to be perfect. I mean, you just got to start doing it and start using some of these tools and just make it fun. Cool. How can I build a game around this?
Mhm.
And so when you start doing that stuff, it's going to get better and better over time. And like, you're not going to turn on in 30 days and be like a master marketer online, but you can show up and be perfect at showing yourself and just sharing your day, just like you would if you picked up the phone and called a friend.
Yeah. It's starting those conversations. So I kind of want to bring this over to you. So when it comes to starting conversations, because I'm kind of at that point with, we've been in network marketing for a long time where I kind of do more of the attraction marketing, right? So I get on my stories and I'm attracting people to get in my inbox. If you're just starting, that might be a little bit more difficult and that's okay. But this is where you have to start those conversations. So you are a master at the conversations. And what would you say to people like to get in their inbox?
Yeah. So the attraction marketing is passive, right? So you put out a message and people get in your inbox. When people approach you first, it's much easier, right? And honestly, it's a better way to flow any conversation. If you're going to go buy a car and a car dealer is calling you every day asking if you want to buy a car, that's kind of annoying. But when you show up, right, that was a passive thing. You started the conversation. You just need to make sure that you're tailoring that conversation so that they want to keep the conversation. But in terms of reaching out, this can be a challenging business when you're talking about weight loss,
Yeah.
right? Because a lot of people don't want to say, "Hey, I bet you could lose, 10 to 15." Like that is a little polarizing and it might upset people. But you could always reach out to somebody that you know, and you're like, "Hey, I know you love coffee just as much as I do. I gotta share a little bit more about this NAD stuff. Not sure if you've seen it on my stories." but it's a total game changer. Like I have more energy. I'm sleeping like a baby. I'm even happier now. Like I feel like my metabolism is getting better. Like those are all things that are pulling on people in a really good way, which is why Ashley is more or less leading with NAD. It's easier to talk about that. Plus, she's a small girl, so it's harder to have a conversation with somebody about weight loss always, unless you have a really close friend. But those types of friends are a very small group, so you're going to really narrow out what you're doing. So the focus for her is NAD, but anything that you guys have experience with, if you wanted to reach out, then I would just reach out to someone that you're close to. Everybody else is going to be that attraction marketing style, which means I'm posting, look at my results, and it might take 8 posts where you're like, I'm loving this. Here I am 7 weeks later. I'm still loving the NAD. I'm finding even new results with what we're doing or with what I'm doing with these NAD shots. And then someone's like, okay, I've seen you post consistently. Now I'm interested.
So going off of that, so today I will be posting like my 5th injection of NAD. So this brings up the next C, which is a call to action, right? So cool. I'm going to get on my stories and I'm going to share about my injection. However, I'm going to talk about that. But then what would my call to action look like? So for me, I'll probably get on my story, share what I have to share. And then at the end, I'll do a question box that says, DM me for more information. And sometimes I'd rather do that than just putting like a link because I want to create that conversation, right? Which is building the community. I want to get on their level and figure out, what is it that you're currently struggling with and how can I help you, right? That's where you can just be more personable. So that's probably what I'm going to do today. But again, having those call to actions, what do those call to actions look like? Even in your
Give the example. You did one the other day and there were 2 answers, and one of them was these people are ready to order from me and these people are still interested. So it gave you 2 lists.
gosh, what was that?
I think it was, have you ever used NAD before?
Oh, yeah, and so I did a poll on that.
Yep.
And so I put yes, no, would love to find out more, something like that, right? So I'm loving or order now, like sign me up, right? So
And you probably have 20 conversations going right now because people were intrigued, and the people that responded now actually can say, hey, thank you for responding. What have you heard? Or what has been your result? Right. So people that haven't tried it yet, what have you heard? And then the other people who have tried it, what's the result? Awesome. I'm getting started myself. And Ashley was very transparent. She's like, week 3, I still don't feel anything, but I know it's coming. And it's also setting proper expectation for somebody that may sign up and may start the product. It's not a day one instant gratification.
right, right. And also want to talk about your Instagram highlights. Again, let's do this again. How many of you guys know what an Instagram highlight is? Hands up or a 1 in the comment. So your highlights are like a lifeline. They are incredible because we get on our stories, we share all these amazing things, right? But it's like, oh, it goes away after 24 hours. But then if you add it to your highlights, and some of you already know this, but those of you that are kind of new, this is something that's always going to be on your page. So I think my highlight right now is called wellness. And so this is literally my NAD journey. So every time that I post on my highlights about it, I'm just going to keep adding it to that highlight. That way it's always up there. And then if I have somebody send me a question, and let's just say I'm super busy and they say, hey, can you tell me more about your experience with NAD? Absolutely. I'll take a screenshot, be like, hey, click right here on my highlight. This is literally my entire journey.
Yeah. And that's awesome because the overwhelming component of social media is you work so hard to make it look so good, but you can't make it look good every single day. And you can't say the same thing every single day. So let's just say you've made a whole bunch of posts and you're like, cool, that was a good one. I can share it and send it. Okay, that one, I can also save that to my highlight. Like Ashley said, now she's got this grouping of posts, which she felt were good enough to use for future. She doesn't have to keep posting about it. She can just be like, if you know, showing the NAD vial, go check my highlights if you're interested. But the last highlight needs to be the call to action.
Yes.
If you're interested in more, send me a DM. Are you ready to start your journey? If you're ready to stop chasing the coffee pot, like something fun, DM me.
Absolutely.
Can I ask you guys a question on highlights? Would you put in your highlights? So one of the questions is like, how do I get started? Would you put in your highlights, like how to get started and take them through, like how to go through the EllieMD portal, like do this, do this, do this, or is that not?
So yeah, we're just a little different. So I don't want somebody to come to my Instagram and it looks like it's network marketing, right? Because I want to build that that attraction where it gets them like intrigued, like, I want to get in her inbox and figure out what it is that she does. Because what happens most of the time, 99% of the time, somebody will come to your page, and we've seen it so many times, Beth, somebody will go to their Instagram and all they use is like graphic flyers from like the company on everything. And it's like, gosh. And when you go to make that conversation with them, they're already turned off because it looks like network marketing.
Yeah, and honestly, in any
Yeah, thank
business,
you
in
for that.
any sale, everything is stimulated by emotion. So what's inside your highlights need to be potentially relatable to your perfect client and or business partner, right? But ultimately, you need to be sharing more about the results, how much you're loving it, and then some type of call to action to have conversation. Because once you take it to conversation, now you're helping them, and now you're building some type of relationship with this person. If they could do the whole thing without you, then you never really know who they are. You really don't know how to help them, and you don't know their situation. They could be looking for a business opportunity. They may not know anything else on the website besides NAD because it's all she posted about, but there are 8 other offers that are fantastic that could help them in other ways as well.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yes. Thank you. That makes sense.
So at this point, Beth, like I could probably speak on social media for hours. I'm not sure how long you want me on here. If you want to open it up to questions and answers, completely up to you. But those were like really like our key focuses for today. And ultimately, you guys, at the end of the day, it's just showing up, being consistent, being who you are. Don't change who you are. Share your stories, share your experience. That right there is just going to attract so many people.
Thank you. Well, you know what I think what would be great is, Leanne, since you are also like, you've spent years and years building your niche, your social media, when you're listening to Chris and Ashley and you're looking at this group of everybody in all different places, what would you share about someone who's just getting started and let's say that they want to speak to people that are, looking for tirzepatide, semaglutide. They're not a weight loss coach. They're not they're like, I'm just a person who has had an experience. How do I show up? Because I'm not Ashley and I'm not Leanne.
I just tell people to bring people along on their journey. Just talk about what you're doing. And just like Ashley said, just being real, being yourself. My social media is all about my journey. Even showing up, talking about microdosing GLP-1, that's my journey. That's what I started. If I'm going through healing my cortisol, that's my journey and I'm bringing along. It just happens that I find something to attach to it to make it a business. And like Chris was saying, like the layers, that's what my social media has always been. It's just layers. It's my life. And it's just bringing people along with that and really just sharing. And that's why I say, like, if you're starting to do, a GLP-1 and you're starting to like implement, getting more protein in, you're changing lifestyle factors, bring people along on that, like show people, share them. I do believe though that stories is everything. And like Ashley said, like the highlights, I have people that go back and who are contacting me just every day from my highlights with GLP-1. So it's really important to do that. But I really think like showing up in your stories, talking to people, like, you're in front of your best friend, just telling people about your journey. And that's a big thing. And you don't have to be an expert. I think it's better not to show up as the expert. Sometimes I like to, like I say, dumb myself down, like in my content, because I don't want people that are just coming to me and have to analyze everything. So I want people to come to me because they're like, oh my gosh, whatever she's doing, I want to do because, she's excited about it. She's talking about and she's talking about the results. They're all driven. People just want you to solve a problem for them. And so with you just sharing your journey, you're just solving a problem. That's why I told people, I'm like, you can become a multimillionaire by just solving a problem. Find a problem to solve. And usually it's just something that you've gone through. And usually like to be the expert is all you have to do is to be a few steps ahead of the people that you're talking to.
Oh, I love that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ashley and Chris. So if we're solving a problem and someone's like, okay, I know I need to be in my stories and I'm going to tell you guys show your face and talk to that camera and put the captions on, because people like me, I'm a manifesting generator. So I have to read the captions. I'm going to not listen through the whole thing. If someone's saying, okay, I want to get started, most of my, like they're kind of Facebooky, but they're also wanting to dive into Instagram. What would you say for the next 5 days? Let's say it's just Cindy Cruz who is on here. She's a pediatric intensive care nurse. She also does she coaches nurses on how to regulate their nervous system and get out of how to not feel chaotic all the time. She also wants to help them with with their GLP-1 journey with Ellie MD. So you're looking at okay, over the next 5 days, I've got to do some real static post stories. What would be a really good starting spot if you were to, I'm going to put Cindy in the hot seat right now. If you were talking to Cindy about, hey, let's not make this complicated, but let's get some content out for you. So Cindy, will you unmute yourself? Did I kind of capture that? Her audience is tired, burnt out, worn out moms and nurses who are feeling like they're overwhelmed. They need the GLP-1. They need her to help with all the nervous system regulation and that thought work that we talked about. And she's like, my offer is I help overwhelmed, burnt out nurses, but I also want to help them with GLP-1. And I'm also a mom who's working on the parenting thing. She also has a super hot marriage. She keeps it alive. I always say, she has all these things. And I look at her and I'm like, I want to know Cindy's secret. And she's got great legs. So what would we do? Those are the things that come to me with Cindy. So when I met Cindy, I was like, I need to know, we're walking down the street in these high heels. I'm like, I need to know who she is. And she's like, I'm Cindy Cruz. So how would you plan out for Cindy 5 days of social media? She's kind of new to this business. So she's like, what do I post? What do I do? But she is she is Wonder Woman. And she looks like Wonder Woman, doesn't she?
Is over here drooling.
First off, you're going to get on your Instagram stories and you're going to share your sexy legs.
Yes.
All right. So I would say for anybody, because GLP-1 is not your profession, right? You're not a weight loss practitioner. So in this capacity, I would approach anybody to do what Ashley did. Asking everybody else's opinion, asking everybody else's results. Have you heard about GLP-1s? Have you taken it? What's your result, or what have you heard? And then start gauging conversations based off of the feedback. Yeah. Because the people that are already on it, you can redirect them to become your customers immediately. There's no sale, right? Because you can also say, are you being compensated referrals? You're like, what do you mean? You'd be like, how many of your friends and family got on because of you? Oh, about 5 people. Great. Then you can get it for free every month. Right. So you can flip that conversation to business if they're already ordering. Obviously, some of these people know you, so they're going to want to be a customer of yours just to be attached to you, which is awesome. But everybody else that provides feedback, this is where you get to share. And I don't know if you're taking GLP-1, yes or no?
Yeah, I'm on week 4. I've been
Perfect.
kind of showing my journey. I started off with pre-pictures and weekly, just feeling okay, today's, shot number 3. This is what I'm feeling, and daily kind of posting about what's going on with it here and there, whether it be, what I'm feeling, what I'm not feeling, just trying to be real about it, really.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's the best thing you can do. Leanne said it, bring them along with you. Right. Yep. And so after you start getting some customers, obviously this is in your first 5 days, but the thing that Leanne does as a coach is she shares testimonial for people that have worked with her. Right. So then when you start putting people onto EllieMD products, start shouting them out, screenshots of conversations. People are like, thank you so much for putting me on X, Y, and Z. My results have been fantastic. Another friend trusted me. Look at the results. Another person trusted me. Look at the results. Those are just things that get to happen for you. And a third party validation is the easiest way for you to get a new customer. People want to hear it from you. You don't want to be the expert, like what was said. But if people can, again, live vicariously through watching your journey or somebody else's journey, then they feel like they can put themselves in that spot. Okay, if I do those things, then I'm going to feel the same way too. I want that. I'm going to reach out and get started.
Yeah. And I would definitely say within the first 5 days, if you're looking for ideas for content and stuff like that, the other day I posted a question box, and I say my question box. What questions do you have about NAD? Or you can do, what questions do you have about GLP-1, right? So you're going to have all these people. And even if you don't have people that respond, Cindy, in that question box, all of us can get on there. You can ask people like, hey, ask me some questions and share all that on your stories, because now all these people are, okay, so you asked something about GLP-1, everybody's responding. You can reshare that on your stories. I'll add all of that into that highlight. Does
Okay.
that make sense?
Yeah.
So like you could even put,
No, I thought you were done. I was just going to say, I wanted to add something that just popped in my head. When you just mentioned about like the stories, like about the question box, you can also answer your own questions. So ask people around and just go in there. I did that when I first started because no one was asking me about microdosing GLP-1. So just go in there and like think of all the cool, like the questions, like you can ask all us, and just answer your own questions, and then go, oh, and then that's where you talk about it. You're like, oh, this is a good thing. I know people this would be a good thing people want to hear. Just say that, and then go in and do your stories and answer that question.
Yeah, so
That's awesome.
the resounding feedback is to engage with all the information. Don't just broadcast.
Yeah, I've been trying to post questions and not getting much response, but I will keep going.
Like,
And I
like Leanne said, whatever
answer
you
your
think
own
people need
question.
to know. Yeah.
Yeah. And then just reshare it.
And
Yeah.
then testimonials, this is what I've done is like when I was first starting, Claire, and like I just said to her when she's like, what are you doing? Like, we've got this like menopausal stuff going on. And I told her about getting started on Wegovy for her, semaglutide. And I asked her, I'm like, can you type up a testimonial? Because I gave you the referral to get started. I didn't like, and so I posted her testimonial with her permission. So all of our testimonials can be your testimonials. So let's do that. We'll do that on the team pages. If you have a testimonial for GLP-1, type it up like it's a text to someone, the person that first shared their story with you, so that we have those testimonials. So let me ask you this. We're talking a lot about stories. So on her static profile, is it, and she's like, that's the piece. Is it like, how do we get out of our heads about, is it a reel? Is it a carousel? Do I have to have branding? Do I have to do this? Like where would you start with? Cindy already has a great grasp on social media, but from what I know from our conversations is she wants to have broader reach to those nurses, to those moms, to those, like, I just had this download that you're going to go into like the nurses lounge. We used to have a teacher's lounge and there's donuts and you're like, who am I? I don't even want a glazed donut today. So like, what would you talk about on her regular feed? Because I think some of us get super overwhelmed with looking at, our starting line is very different than where Leanne is or where you are in terms of, or Blair, in terms of how our social media will look on that profile. So where would you start with somebody that's like, okay, I'm gonna get my content ready this week?
Yeah, I think that's like a misconception too. I feel like back in the day, everybody's like, you have to have a very cohesive feed, right? Now, yes, when you go to my feed, it looks very cohesive and everything looks pretty, but every post that I do is in front of my clothing rack. So every single one, it kind of looks the same. However, you don't have to do that. But just getting on there, whether you're doing a static post, like a picture, so you can do the picture, you can do a carousel where you can add up, I think it's up to 10 images now on Instagram, or a reel. So your highest engagement is always going to be a reel. But what would that look like for you? And at the end of the day, like, what are you comfortable with in the moment? Is it just like a cute selfie of you and you post that picture and you just talk about how happy you are? And you can, yes, talk about, you've been on GLP-1. This is how you feel. Like, it's still okay to post that because this is your journey, right?
Yeah, I would say from a content perspective, and really put yourself in the seat when you're flipping through anything. Let's just say there's a fitness coach. If you go to their page, if their feed is a bunch of great pictures of them just in life looking fantastic, you're like, ooh, I should reach out to them, or I should hire them because I'm going to look like they do, right? So whatever you do in your life, you're out to dinner with your husband, you guys are on vacation, just show up looking healthy and looking beautiful. And that's all people care about. You know what I mean? They want to see that because this content down here validates what you're saying in the stories.
Right.
It validates what you say in your bio. So, I mean, Beth more or less said to you exactly what should be in your bio. I help nurses overcome overwhelming anxiety and use science-backed products to help with weight loss and increase energy or something like that. You know what I mean? Specifically who you are.
Mhm.
Down here
Yeah,
says
my-
I live the lifestyle, so I'm a result. But this says what I do. But then up here is where people get to live through your daily and see what you're putting out.
Yeah, I have to work on my highlights. I'll do that. But my bio says guiding high achieving women to overcome burnout, a safe space to be aware, heal, grow, and expand, and serve from a place of regulated wholeness.
Wow, that's really good.
Really good. That's good. You nailed that one.
And here's the other thing too, is you guys, if you tell ChatGPT, like, this is my vibe. So I use my human design in ChatGPT. I'm like, hey, I'm a manifesting generator. I like share a post, like, here's a post that really resonates with me. I kind of have a girlfriend tone of voice, blah, blah, blah. I want to help women do XYZ with XYZ. Can you come up with a bio? And so if you're stuck, like, don't just put straight ChatGPT. I'm going to have Blair come over and talk about that really quick, because she's been obsessing on it. And when you tell ChatGPT your vibe, and you tell them like, hey, I don't want this to sound icky or spammy, and I want to just like talk to my friend who is in the carpool line, it really helps. So Blair, I know you're having some downloads. She's over at the O being all bougie. Share what comes to mind, and will you talk about how you started to use ChatGPT to talk in the Blair Critch style?
Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm obsessed. But by the way, I'm like sitting here in my bathing suit. I'm like, she's really calling on me right now. Like, oh my gosh. Okay. First of all, Ashley and Chris, like, thank you, thank you, thank you. And Leanne, thank you for sharing too. And Beth, what you shared at the very beginning, powerful. So ChatGPT this weekend, I actually shout out to Jen Nelson because she's the one that taught me this. So
She's down like soaking in the sea. She's like, I'm gonna
Good.
go, like, talk
Sure.
about, like, she and Hanieh are down there and they're like, we're gonna go soak in the sea. And then
Good.
Hanieh said, I'll tell you this, she's like, wait, you guys do a connection, like, where you talk about like connecting and joy? What, I want to be on that on Saturday morning. So like,
Yeah.
hey, you guys, we're starting a trend with the CEO.
I
and
just
founder.
want you guys to know, hanging out with Honey the last couple of days, one of the things that I learned is our team is very unique. And I just want to say, like, thank you to all of you for being part of this journey with us, because this company is brand new, right? And so we're the only new team. A lot of them came over from the other company. We're the first new team building here, and we're doing things in such a different way. And it's just so exciting to see the community that we're creating, and the friendships and the relationships and the impact that we're going to have on so many is really powerful. But what I learned from Jen this weekend is about my personality, and I learned about human design. So whether you like disc personality or human design or Enneagram or, animal personalities, like all of us have seen these things before, love languages, whatever. You figure out what yours is. And then I went into ChatGPT and I told it my personality, and I explained my personality and said, please save my personality and who I want to talk to. And I also shared that. And then I started asking it like, hey, help me create a reel about how menopause was making me gain weight in my lower abdomen, right? And it creates like a really cool reel idea for me. And then I asked ChatGPT in my voice. We even did it to send a really sexy message to my husband, which was hilarious. Like, it will literally speak in your voice of how you should be speaking and connecting with people through your personality. You want to say something, Beth?
Yeah, I was saying, if your brain is going to, I need to know how Jen is going to be doing a training on this next Saturday. So
Perfect. So we are
yeah.
we're dropping the pieces for you guys. You'll
giving you
come
guys
back
the
next
little
week.
breadcrumbs.
Yep. And invite people to join us next Saturday, your team. And if you have somebody that's thinking about joining us in the business and they're already like understand business and this won't overwhelm them, I would invite them to come on this Zoom next Saturday and learn about it. These are open, you guys. We aren't like territorial. You can invite people that you think might want to join you in the business so they can see how we connect as a community and how we help each other. Like Ashley and Chris, people pay them to share the stuff that they shared this morning. They don't have to share that. They're sharing that because they care about the community and they want everyone to succeed. So I encourage you to bring people back. That's it. Is there anything else you want me to share?
Yeah, no, that's it. And that's what I was going to say is like what Hanieh said is this, like, we are attracting really high level humans, people like you heard Cindy's bio. And again, if your thought goes to, oh, well, like that bio, Cindy like worked for 6 months with business coaching on that bio. It wasn't where it was when we met her. So what I want you to do from this Zoom, first of all, is like everybody just like take like, when the Grinch's heart like grows and like feel that and like send all that love over to Leanne and Blair and the Caseys and for this Zoom today for like pouring into everyone. I feel like that gratitude is sometimes we just like forgot to say thank you and thank you for sharing the knowledge and showing up and being here to all of you. What I would love for you to do when you get off, was we talk about the regulation of your nervous system, is feel in your body. Like, do you feel like a little overwhelmed? Do you feel like there's so much to learn? Or do you feel like, wow, I've got this? Notice the thought. I'm going to bring it back to the thought work. And then write down, like get rid of it. If there's just write it all down. Brain dump all the things like, I haven't lost 28 pounds yet, blah, blah, and just look at it and say, wow, these are interesting thoughts. Thank you for showing up for me so I can learn. And then what I would love for you guys to do is I'm going to give you 3 calls to action. I would love for you to just like talk into the camera today in your stories and say, like, I am going to start, if this is you, this is you. I'm going to start showing up on social media in a different way, because I really feel that that the stories of the people that I'm surrounding myself with, the stories of where I'm going with my business right now, it's something I really, really want to share, because if I impact one person, then I've done my job. And this whole team started because I was encouraged by a community to share my story and put it on social media. And I was like, oh gosh, but I represent a health and wellness company and I don't want them to know like what I really look like. And then I really had to use that weight loss injection. And I was like, wait a minute. So because I shared that story, I got the reach out and got to like learn about Ellie MD. So I would love for you to show up in your stories with your face and share and talk into that camera and look at it and talk to one person. The other thing that I would love for you to do is go and say thank you to Leanne and the Caseys and tag them in your stories, because abundance is so big. And take a picture of this screen and say, we just had like 2 huge Instagram people share with us from their heart today, and tag and share, because that is so important that we expand and it's not what your expansion will also be your elevation. And the next thing is like, just be you. Your social media can be you. If you have a funny meme, share it. If you're like that mom that is like, got like 48, I can't find the keys to the beach today, and I should probably share that. I should show you guys what this place looks like, because I start and I stop and I do all the things. And I think the biggest thing is I learned how to surround myself with people that are better at things than me. Like, that's all it is like, oh, wow, look, I attracted people that into this Zoom today that are really better at Instagram than me. And I'm going to have them share, or that can like surround yourself with people and that can help you to create that wholeness, if that makes sense. Show up. I don't care if it's beautiful. I don't care if it's like, think about, there's like the geriatric TikTok mom, and she literally shows up and her kids make fun of her. And it's the most hilarious thing. And you find yourself watching it. So like, be you, show up, have your, like, you don't have to be perfect. I love, like, I wish my kids would do this, is like, just like videotape them making fun of you. Yeah, my mom wants to be on Instagram. You guys, what do you think? Are your moms on Instagram? And like, share that out. So we used to do content planning Zooms where we would get together and we kind of share and go over content. And Kathy Cavanis, who helps on all fronts, and she also helps on social media, she said that she would host a few of those for those of you that are just starting. So if that's something that you want, please let me know, because then we can like kind of talk through the content and you can have a little bit of a plan. There's all different ways that we can do that, but show up and do it, and know that your message is like, if it's meant to reach one person today, it will. Trust me on that. So again, we launched the sublingual semaglutide drops. We launched the Simorlin tablets, and there's a great video that she talked about Simorlin on the Thursday night training. And I would be interested in those of you that are on the more medical side of this and understand the Simorlin drops. Blair and I just learned this from Dr. Google, that the Simorlin drops are as effective in the scientific studies as the injection. It's just that the compliance for the drops is different, because You have to do it daily. It's a little bit of a bitter taste. So I'd be interested. We'll start like looking at that in the longevity group. And if you have that background, please share that with us as we grow and learn. And then is there anything else that I missed that anybody thinks I need to share? Leaders, people on here, questions? A shout out to Alyssa who's on. She came all the way down from Michigan to be here. And her platform is being your bariatric bestie. And that's such a really, really cool platform. Look at her. She's by the pool. Hi, Alyssa. She's like hanging at the bougie hotel. Can you just share what, like, one takeaway you had and close us out?
Oh gosh, I'm so happy to be here right now. And yes, everybody's in their rooms. But from Michigan, I needed the ocean. So I went and jumped in the ocean. But one takeaway that I have is, I guess, just do it. Like, just, anything that makes you uncomfortable, anything that is maybe a little bit scary. And thank you, Ashley and Chris, for sharing. That was so helpful. But just like that, I mean, just be you. I think I have spent so much of my life like trying to be somebody else online, that I wasn't attracting the right people. And ever since I started sharing my bariatric journey, I had bariatric surgery in 2020. And so many people are ashamed about that. So I think just being you and showing up authentically, however that looks like for you, you will attract those people that are meant to be with you. So that is the takeaway I have. I hope everybody has an amazing Saturday. I am just hanging at the beach if you need me.
Thank you, Alyssa. And that's the biggest thing. Like Alyssa, her journey with her bariatric surgery and then bringing that in to provide that support, that's very different than any of our journey, but she's showing up and sharing that. And this is kind of interesting. She's like, oh, I have this Peloton bariatric group from like 2 years ago. And then we were like, wow, an entire community of over 100. I love that. And so you guys, it's so expansive and exciting, and just be you, because everybody has a different starting line. And thank you guys. We've hit some really big numbers this month because of all of our efforts. And I just can't wait for us to continue in the impact. And if you are watching us here and you're like, hey, I want to have Hanieh come to our local community. She loves this and she's magical in an event. And we didn't have huge, we had 20 to 30 people and shared some really powerful stories. She shared the story of Ellie MD. So let us know if you're like, hey, I want to do that in my local community. And even if you don't have her there, it's just a super easy thing to set up, and I can help you with that as well. So you guys have a great Saturday. Stay tuned for all the things coming up this week. The Sunday email will give you all of the events. I'm going to also ask you guys to get inside of the longevity group and share your recipes and share your stories and share all of the things that you're doing, because that's where our community is growing. And I'll see you guys soon. Thank you guys. And thank you, Ashley and Chris and Leanne and Alyssa and Blair and Cindy for letting me put you on the spot. Love you guys, and I'll see you soon.